How do I want to start this? I don't know. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Educated Columnist Snap channel. So I have a very special video for you. I've been trying to find a deck of my own, something I like, something that doesn't really have to play Loki, Alioth. Been playtesting this for a couple of days, and I'm now okay with sharing it. I've played it enough. I think I understand the deck build idea of it and everything. So I do have a new deck for you guys. Definitely no one's playing this, which is funny to me, but I think it's been working pretty well for me, and we play pretty high levels, so definitely want to showcase it now. It's always weird for me because I do think about the competitive mindset to build a deck you like and then go and share it, and then it gets worse because everyone knows what you're running and they can play around it, as well as just general knowledge gaining of giving people ideas. But that's what I decided to do in this game, so we can get right to it. So here we go. Here's a deck list, right? It's dump version 3. Obviously I've went through a few iterations, but essentially the base of this is a Dracula dump deck, but you do have some point slams and some other tech for other matchups, but essentially you are just trying to put a ton of power down so that the Alioth player isn't incentivized to try to win rely. It doesn't always work. You're not always in priority, but things like Invisible Women, things like Dracula do let you pretend to be weaker than you are, and you just have a lot of particular ways to get a lot of power down, even against those matchups. Loki also doesn't love this deck because there's a lot of dead cards. Not dead cards, but cards that are awkward to play. If you are a Loki player, you don't really want to be playing Red Skull. You can't play Infinite. Dracula isn't very consistent. Maxus is good, right? Last turn. Ebony Maw, they can't play. So there's a lot of Titania is a little bit iffy. And then the other cards are like 3 power, which are not very good of a play for the Loki. So I have seen the Loki matchups also kind of struggle. I will say you do need Mobius for that matchup, because if they do get to play tons of cards, like, it doesn't matter if it's low power or not. So, but I have seen it like feel awkward for them. So definitely think it's a pretty nice deck into the meta for now. Obviously, as the meta changes, we'll have to adjust, but I've been pretty happy with it. Been playing it in the high ranks, and it's been doing pretty well for me. So initially I was just going to talk about the deck, but I figured you have to see the deck in action to really understand how it works. So we're going to be going through some games I played yesterday, just to kind of give an idea of, oh, this is how you play, this is what I'm thinking about, that kind of thing. So I don't really do game reviews because they don't seem to do well and stuff like blah 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 blah. But I figured, okay, we'll do it now. So don't mind. So first matchup right here. Don't know what their opponent's playing. I'm gonna be skipping ahead a little bit, right? Just try to get the main idea. So you can see already in this, right, we have Biofrost into Kunlun, and that's a pretty good synergy of locations where if you can play cards in this left lane, you move everything right and you'll get the +2 power, right? Almost like the location that gives you +2 power on turn 5, kind of like that, but on turn 4 instead. So nice thing about this deck is you can pump out a lot of power at will, right? This is a great turn 4 deck where, hey, if the game's gonna end turn 4, you can definitely put a lot of power there. So he goes Mobius. He has the same idea as me, but I'm putting out a ton of power here. Then we have the Sauron, right? So Sauron wasn't in this deck initially, but one of the big issues I was having was sometimes with Dracula, I would top deck Ebony Maw turn 5, turn 6, and the Dracula would be like 50-50 for Ebony Maw or Infinite or something like that. And it was just like not like consistent enough. I did not like having that dead Ebony Maw. So I decided to just add the Sauron, and it's been pretty good for me. It fixes the Red Skull. I didn't have Red Skull initially as well. I was only Infinite to play, but adding the Red Skull with the Sauron just gives you another big point slam. So here we can fill up our full locations. He has that Lizard. The Lizard isn't getting any value. Like, it's losing the value since we have the 4 cards. So that's a big advantage for us. And then we have the full location. So he goes for Enchantress. So Enchantress is Mobius, but we're not really... So he does take out the Lizard value, right? So that's the benefit of that. We're not really a big Mobius deck. Like, we don't really care if we don't have Mobius or they're Mobiusing us. It's only in the matchups that it does matter. So here, right, we're thinking, okay, so he might go for middle, but that's gonna be a big investment. We can win left with a Red Skull, and then we'll just have to hope for a good top deck. And keep in mind, we have New York, so it's not like he'd have to win the 50-50 in terms of where we move our cards. So it's not guaranteed. So I think just setting up a big power slam in the left lane just gives us some consistency for that final turn. So he goes for Sarah, which, you know, is cool. Like, I guess it makes sense because he's running Enchantress, so you can Enchantress the opponent's Mobius. So it's not a big deal. But generally, I feel like left lane is pretty safe here. The question is, like, how am I gonna allocate my points in the 2 lanes? So we just have Silk and Titania. Silk, I think, okay, I want to have a chance of all right. So this was a while ago. I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I do see it, right? You want to at least have your points fill here, so even if he doesn't move, you can contest. And then I'm assuming he's going to move some of his cards right, and he's not going to win the left lane, right? So I'm assuming he's going to go left middle, so I'm just trying to put as much power in the middle lane as possible. So looks okay to me. This one, I'm not snapping because I don't feel confident, I'm assuming, right? Like, but I do want to see the game out. This seems winnable for us, but not confident here. So we'll see what he does. He does move a lot of his power left, and he goes full middle. Damn. Okay. So, I mean, I played the game out, but it's been a while. But he goes Shadow King, which is really nice tech, right? But he just doesn't have a lot of power. Oh, he does have the Hid Monkey, which is 18 or 16 here. But we do have the Titania. I will say, if we left the 0 there, we would have lost 3 power. So, we'd still win with the Red Skull, but it would have been closer. So next up we have Hellfire. Hellfire's a little bit annoying for us, right? Since we have 1-drops. But other than that, it's okay. So I don't always play 1-on-1. Like, Ebony Maw on 1 is pretty bad, and Titania on 1 is also like risky. So even though we have a lot of 1s, we don't usually play things on 1. So this is a nice thing about the Sauron, right? It means that we can play Ebony Maw without worrying about it too much. So here we just play the Sauron, and then we'll see what gets pulled. So playing the Sauron early means that the Red Skull, if it gets pulled, is not giving your opponent's power. So it's generally nice. So he goes for the Thor here. We get Titania, which I don't love. Like, it's maybe, I wouldn't say it's the worst, right? Maybe Maximus would be worse, right, to play down randomly. I think here I have to play the Maximus and just, like, give him 2 cards, even though this matchup is not good for giving him cards. So that's the issue, right, with the Thor and whatnot. So I'm not playing the Maw because this deck doesn't really this deck uses all your cards essentially in your hand. Like, it's not a deck that runs out. So I am putting the Titania to the opponent's side because I do know this is a deck that likes to flood. So I'm thinking, okay, even if he has to play something on the right side if he wants to be able to flood fully. So we're just trying to contest all the lanes, right? I don't think this deck runs a Alioth, but it's something to be aware of just in case they want priority to kind of do something like 0 mana Alioth. So the opponent's snapping here. I can see it, but it usually means he's playing Jane Foster in this type of deck. But I think we just get priority. Oh, so he's going for the Professor X here, lock the Titania. But I'm thinking, can you win? So there's a bug here. I could actually see that this was Thor. But then again, like it's easy to infer that, right? But I do want to mention that there was a bug in this game where I was able to see what card he had there, right? So I knew he still had 5 power there, but he just did play a 5 power Professor. I mean, a 5 energy Professor X, and a card there has to be 0 mana. So there you can infer that's what the card is, right? The Wasp is already there, so it's either Yellow Jacket or that. So I think it's fine, but it was a bug like that. That is something I want to mention. So I'm thinking, okay, what can you do? He can't win middle, so he has to contest left, right? So he might go Alioth or something. So what I wanted to do was, no, I was like, this is okay because you're moving the silk there, but I just don't think you need to put all that power there. So I end up putting 1 there. I want to make sure the silk goes left so that I'll deal with any random nonsense. Like if he goes like Alioth and something else like Yellow Jacket, or I don't know, like something else, right? So I don't like this play either. I want the silk to move, so I think what I end up doing is I go, no, I don't go silk middle, right? And then Ebony Maw wherever. Like silk first? No, okay. I do it differently. I think what I should do is just put the is just go silk middle, right? And then I can move the silk left. I don't like this play. I don't like my play, chat. But it was fine, but I don't like it. Put the silk middle so that it just moves and you don't have to, obviously. So you don't take this Alliance damage here. Don't like this play. It doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, I did this. We ended up winning regardless. But yeah, not the best showing. All right, next up we have another matchup here. So our hand's pretty okay. Dracula would be really important in this particular hand state. Thorn Room also is really good for Dracula. There's a Woman is nice. Kind of lets you hide some of your strategies, right? Like something you gotta keep in mind is like no one knows what I'm playing, pretty much, right? Like maybe now they've played me multiple times, but especially when I was playing this, like no one had any idea. And I checked the stats, no one's playing a deck like this. There's 0 plays. There's more plays now because it's me, somewhat. But when I made the deck, there was definitely nothing like this in the meta. Excuse me. So we're just setting up in the Lizard here. Just getting some power down. Nothing scary. Icebox isn't that bad for us. I would say we don't really run out of mana. Like this deck doesn't really run out of mana, so it's generally fine. This turn I think was hard for me, if I'm remembering. I was trying to figure out what to do. I think I went like this. So I put Titania first because if you play 2 cards after it, then it'll go back to your field, right? Like either either the field is full and it doesn't move, or you play 2 cards and then you'll move afterwards. So didn't really like playing Silk right. Just didn't feel like it does enough. So that's the line we have here. He plays Shadow King for tempo, which I'm like, okay, like it means like he's not in a great spot. So I think considering snapping, right? Because he tempoed Shadow King. He hasn't played Mind Stone. And then our hand is decent, I would say. So I hope I'm snapping, right? Right? I thought so slow during these games, right? Because it's always so scary to play a new deck, right? You don't know if it's vetted or anything, right? And And it's like, oh, is their deck just like, is the standard deck always just gonna be better than a deck you make up yourself? But yeah, so so this is the issue of Ebony Moss sometimes, right? Like I was really hoping to top deck a playable card, but this is why we have Sauron in there. Sometimes you just don't have it. So he goes for the I want to win the um, the left lane, and he's hoping that I wouldn't play middle. I mean, I wouldn't play left because of the downside. But I have tons of power, so it's not an issue. And Red Skull will win the middle lane, almost guaranteed, right? Like so, felt like a solid win for us here. Get the snap, get the points. We discarded something. We discarded Red Skull. Yeah. Oh, he lost Professor. Red Skull is like really pretty good. Initially, I didn't have Red Skull in this deck, and now I'm like, what? Who I didn't run Red Skull. But yeah. So we just go Mobius in here. Dark Dimension's pretty good for us. I would say Sokovia is usually. I mean, it depends, right? It depends on what gets discarded. You have some important cards and some not, right? So it definitely depends. So one thing with this deck is you have to kind of decide between Invisible Woman and Sauron, right? Because if you play Sauron, it turns off your Mobius and it turns off your Invisible Woman. So you have to keep that in mind in some matchups. Some matchups, I'm just like, oh, I need Mobius to come out first or so. So you just have to be careful about that. But yeah, we already lost our Red Skull, but we still have Ebony Maw in the deck, and there's a good chance we draw it. So definitely want the Sauron here. And then Dark Dimension's already kind of Invisible Woman, so you don't really need to worry about that. So I go for the snap. Okay, I'm feeling confident about this. He lost his Professor X. I lost my Red Skull. I would say Red Skull is a harder loss, but I'm aware that I'm drawing most of my cards, and I can probably play most of them, and I already have the Dark Dimension in the middle. So he goes for Daredevil, and he hadn't played anything as well, right? So probably Dracula somewhere, right? So having Dracula Infinite is like a big power play. Like that's where you want to be more confident. So probably what's going on here. This one was hard. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to curve the rest of the game. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I spent a lot of time thinking about the curve here. Because I want Dracula down and I want to get rid of all my cards. But how do I do that? I feel like I need the 1 mana for turn 5. If I'm not playing Dracula this turn, I need the 1 mana for turn. Like I need a 1 drop for turn 5. So I have to do something like double 2 or just a Dracula. So yeah. So I think about it. I'm like, oh, I need the 1 mana next turn, so I can't play double 1 here. So I go for the double 2. Think this makes sense. I'm still thinking about it. Yeah, I'm slow at thinking in, in these games for sure. But he goes for Sentry. Somewhat scary because you can always Viper that, and he has Daredevil, so the Dark Dimension is not going to give me any value. So I'm thinking Dracula for sure. So I'm contesting the left lane. Yeah. And then okay, so I think I'm like, okay, if he wants to give me the void, I'm not gonna contest that lane, I think. So I just go here. I actually think I messed up. I remember after this game I was like, ooh, I should have done something differently. Let me see if I remember. I think I liked the Dracula. I think the the 0 should have been somewhere else. I think that's where let me see if that's what the case is, but yeah. So we could have went full left, but I wasn't super confident. Yeah, so he just wins that lane. I could have went Dracula right, but I wanted to be able to contest. So here we can play everything. He has priority, which is the issue for me in that can't he? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we could have lost, right? If he goes Alioth middle. right? That's how we lose. So I should have maybe went like 0 mid. There was definitely a thought here. Um, I think I got bailed out. Yeah, I think he threw. That's right. That's why I was not happy about this game because he threw this game. Oh, he had yeah. Well, he put he had Titania in the middle. Oh, that's that's why he couldn't play Alioth middle. Oh, he had Titania in the middle. I see now. So if he went Alioth middle, he just gives us the oh he would lose because we would win the no would we win the tiebreaker? No, right? Well he'd have 12, we'd have 20, and then so we're winning by 8. No, he'd win, right? Wouldn't he win? If with this current play he'd win, right? Oh no, we'd have 26. Right, we have 26 to his 12. So we'd be up by 10 by 4 points. Okay. I see now why he couldn't do it. Cuz he had Titania in the middle. I did not know that. Well, I wasn't thinking about that during the game. Uh, but yeah, he locked himself out. All right. I was wondering why he played Eliath middle. I was really wondering. So he snapped, forgot about well, not forgot, but like he snapped and realized, oh, I can't play this Eliath middle. It's not a guaranteed win. Uh-oh, but like maybe my opponent will leave. And I didn't leave. So that's what happened. Yeah, and now okay. That makes sense. I see why he did that. I see why okay. Like now I didn't know I didn't realize any of this while I was playing the game. But now that we get to go back, I'm like, oh, he set himself up for like a problem turn. All right, fair enough. Yeah, Ebony Maw on 1, not really what you want to do. You can zero it, you can invisible woman it, you can soar on it. So you have a lot of ways to get it out of your hand as long as you have it early. Later on, then you're really only relying on Sauron. So, but early if you have it, it's good. Huh? You know something I did not even consider. Did not even consider Ebony Maw in the middle lane. Did not even did not even consider it for a second. Huh? Now that I'm playing that's a play I could definitely do that I've not considered at all because I'm always thinking, okay, how do I want to play it out? Later on. Later on, I didn't realize. Oh, I could just play in the middle, and then he's locked out of the middle, and it's a lot easier for me. So those are some strategies you can have here. Oh, my opponent's gonna be playing in the left lane. Oh, oh my god, dude. Like invisible women right and then Ebony Maw middle. It's so like obvious. Anyways, so um it's good to review your games because look at all these mistakes that I'm seeing right after spending some time away rewatching the games. I'm like, oh my god, you know we got bailed out, right? Like Hasuk didn't even go in the middle, but we could have just put the Ebony Maw middle. It's so good. He's locked out of middle, right? And then we could like easily win. We could have snapped. Like that's a snappable turn for us. But hey, we didn't do that. It's a learning experience. We got bailed out. Let's keep going. So yeah. He goes for the Professor X middle. I go for Dracula. I don't know. I don't like this play from him. I feel like most players will go middle here. So it's a little bit question marks on my side. Though he does have the Jeff, right? Like that's something that he does have. He does have Jeff there. So that's pretty powerful to consider. I'm like, okay, well, Dracula, we snapping, right? Right, Collins, we're snapping. Let's move ahead. All right, so I do the play, go Lizard right, Max was mid. So one issue is like the Soak is gonna stay on the left lane, but I guess it's fine because we should be able to win the left lane. So yeah, I do go for the snap, very slow snap, and then I'm like, oh, he might stay because of the Jeff, right? Like, oh, I didn't forget, but like that's something like a lot of people do forget about. Hey, they have the Jeff, da, da, da. And he goes for the claw, right? So he's going all in on winning the middle, which is like which makes sense in normal circumstances, but I am an infinite. So I'm like, like all right, buddy, sure. Uh, so we're just playing it out, right? We should be able to win. So the one caveat is like he can move Jeff and then play something left lane, right? But the thing is, if he plays something left lane, we'll win the right lane because we're getting 12 power there. So um, it's kind of hard for him to win just because he invested into the lane that we end up winning anyways. So that's the power of the Dracula here, right? Like if the opponent knows exactly I'm getting Infinite, then he wouldn't do this play. But because it's like, oh, we don't know exactly. I have 12 power middle. Of course, I'm winning middle. He has to pull exactly Infinite or Red Skull, right, to get there, and that's ignoring like Blue Marvel or something, right? Like then he has so much power there, right? Like how is he gonna lose? So he's really thinking about this. All right, so we can see what he did. Did he do nothing? I don't actually remember. Oh, he did do nothing. Interesting. I don't.
Victory.
Well, he wasn't gonna win anyways, right? But like weird nothing play. So here, right, just trying to win eternity range, I guess, get some value. So we can go 0 into lizard. So these are one of the few times you do play on one, right? You have the 0 curve. It's hard to play 0, like because a lot of times you're gonna be playing Invisible Woman or Mobius on 2. So this type of start is kind of rare. Yeah, like that. So here, if I play a Sauron, then the Invisible Woman shuts down, right? And the Mobius shuts down. So I'm like, is that really? I do it though. Oh, okay. No, I don't. I was like, damn, okay, I really care. I really care about the curve. Like we don't need to care too much about the curve in this deck because we usually have enough mana to play all of our cards that we need to. So he gives us 2 cards, which is great for us. I think that was enough confidence for me to be like, oh, okay. I should snap here, right? He gave us 2 cards. No, and then our curve is like 3. Like we can play a 5 and then finish off. So yeah, I definitely need to be more confident, I would say. But yeah, we do think it through at least. So he does play Thor here. This looks like the Jane Foster dump deck, right? Thor and Bishop. Like that's kind of like the perfect start. 2 into 3 into Thor, and then if you play Jane Foster 5, like and then Flood turn 6. So we're going for the Sauron Invisible Woman play, and then we'll finish it off in the last turn. So he doesn't have Jane Foster, but he does have Armor Jeff. And then yeah, so Sauron, being valuable here. So I was thinking about how do I want to do this. So this is definitely one line, right? You play everything, so you guarantee the Dracula gets a big value, right? And then you have a lot. So I'm just like, okay, what can he do in terms of the draws, right? Like I'm trying to think, oh, is there a way I get ruined? I just don't think he's playing Alioth, right? So I think, okay, what he wants to do is try to win left lane, and then we'll try to win middle. So the downside here is that we can get like 7 or 5 points Dracula, but that's not that bad, honestly. Like it's still a lot of power, and he might move the Jeff, right? So there's just definitely a lot here. I do think this is the board state I ended up committing on. So let me see what he does. He goes like Mysterio. So he moves Jeff right, hit Monkey middle. So he's fighting middle, and just not putting a lot of power right. So I could definitely be like, ooh, maybe I should have full committed on the middle lane. But regardless of what it hits, right, we'd get there. So it looks good. As long as we played out our cards, we would have got there. So not playing the 0 on 1, even though we could. There's a lot of top decks we'd rather play. No, that's not the one. Well, this is like one of the punishes, like in terms of like not playing the 0. There's just a lot of twos that are good. Like if we drew Mobius or Invisible Woman, I guess Invisible Woman we don't really care if it gets hit. But yeah, Silk and 0 are like perfect, fine 0 targets, but end up not trusting in the 0 top deck. But yeah, I think I'm happy with this hand because we already have Dracula Infinite, and we should be able to get everything out of our hand, right? Sauron's down, so it means we can't get screwed by Ebony Maw. So I think this was a good snap. I just wasn't confident enough at the time. I'm still learning the deck copium. That's the excuse I tell myself. But yeah, I think we could have snapped any time here. Like already we could have snapped. We could have snapped turn 3, and I think we would have been in a favorable position. Not like guaranteed to win, but like good enough percentage wise that we should take it. Do I ever snap? I don't know. No, I don't. Well, it looks like I'm just not confident. I'm too scared of the Forge Brew deck that didn't get the Forge early. And there's okay, finally I do it. Okay. Finally. But yeah, definitely being lazy or being scared. I think that's something that that's very easy to happen in these high ranked matches. You respect everyone essentially, so you're not willing to like throw away because very often like I'll be like, okay, I'll snap, and then like they're like, what are you doing, and then they destroy me. And then I'm like, okay, I should give them a little bit more respect here. So we do have a nice setup, and then nice thing here is I'm pretty sure I'm looking at the cards left, or thinking about the cards left in my deck, right? There's not that many 3s, so Maximus is like the worst hit here because that means we can't play out all of our cards, right? But everything else is playable, so there's a good chance we can dump our hand next turn. And then what I like here is he can't Alioth us, right? So if we win this middle lane, that ignore the right, he can't Alioth middle, and then he's filled the left lane. So this is a very, very safe game for us. So like very, very, very good. Like the scary part is maybe if he didn't lock his left lane, but he wanted the white hot room, right? So that's the idea, right? He wanted the white hot room energy. We don't care about that, right? Like even with extra energy, it's going to be a hard game, in our opinion. So he goes Patriot, Blue Marvel, right? Tons of power in the left lane, but we can still easily contest that. So this is what I'm talking about, right? We can play all of our cards, right? So it's almost like a dump deck, like a pew, But yeah, we go full power, full power essentially. I don't know why I'm playing 0 there. Like that doesn't matter. I don't know. Whatever. I don't like that. Generally, I should just play everything middle. Yeah, like he does play Alioth there. Like, why not just play everything middle? There's no way he can. I don't know. Whatever. I already won. I agree, but like it doesn't make sense to play it there. Just like the zeroing doesn't matter. So yeah. But yeah, could have had a little bit more power in the middle, but still, game plan was on point, right? Even with the extra mana, didn't matter. We can still very easily win that left lane. So clean game for us. How much longer? We have like maybe one more game or two. But yeah, definitely getting long here. That wasn't the full intention. But yeah, okay, we'll speed up a little bit. So he's playing Nebula, Monster Island, sure. We play our Mobius, so we top deck Mobius. Turn 3, we have to decide. Here, I think getting the curve is pretty important. So we just go Sauron. One thing about the Raft's kind of a bait. I know I'm like considering pausing. Raft's kind of a bait sometimes if the opponent has Mobius, because it means that it's going to be full cost. So it's like a lot of times you can't even play it. So it's like, what's even the point of the Mobius here? But nice thing is that with the Silk, right? This is one of the advantages of Silk. Gives us two things. One thing this deck is lacking is like being able to go into unreachable spots. Silk lets you do that, and then there's just some locations where Silk is like better than a regular 2/5, right? This is one of them where you can move Silk and still like play there where your opponent's like locked into that lane, right? So that's like some of the advantage there. So, um, there's definitely some reasons to play Silk over other cards, and then Red Skull, you can win that particularly. I was definitely thinking about Heimdall. Like, can I do something with Heimdall here? Um, but there wasn't like the greatest thing. So nice thing for us, he only had high evolution here, so not the strongest, and we can guarantee that right lane unless he full passes, which I just don't think he's gonna do, right? Like if he full passes, then like whatever. If he wants to win that one lane, right, then we can win the other two. So I don't think full pass is like realistic of a line for him. Not confident this game apparently, so I don't snap. So that's something for me to think about if that makes sense. Like should I have been more confident, but wasn't for sure. So we go for 0 here, and then Titania, and then Lizard on the right lane. So I think this makes sense because even if he Alioth here, we should be able to win either side. If he goes Alioth middle, we'll win left and right. If he goes Alioth left, we'll win left and like middle and mid. We'll win regardless if he plays Alioth, right? So that's something I'm thinking about. Like, oh, the Alioth top deck. He plays Shadow King, which is fair. Shadow King is like super fair because if the Misty Knight went right, then he wins. So it's like 50-50 on his part with the Shadow King play. That's pretty good, honestly. That's why I wasn't snapping, right? He could have definitely won this game, but didn't happen. Didn't happen, we take those. And then last game, I believe, here against Cleanup, of course. He likes to emote me. I don't know why. What did I do to him? But yeah, he runs like a different deck, but like it has some similar cards. So like Invisible Wound, right? He's an Invisible Wound player as well. Yeah, I was like, okay, fair enough. Murder World. Glad we did not go right. That would have been pretty bad for us. So we can go 0 Lizard, yeah, which is a lot of power here, and we have Dracula. This is a pretty good snap, like in my opinion. Don't know if I snapped here. Probably not feeling confident for some strange reason. Well, Oh no. Okay, I do it. All right, good. I'm learning. But yeah, we go for the snap. He stays in. He plays middle. Doesn't tell us too much, right? So. But our curve is set. Dracula right is pretty solid, I think. So he goes Mobius and Luke Cage. We go good Red Skull. So okay. So here Ebony Rod rears his ugly head again. No, you're fine, Ebony Rod. But he comes to annoy me, right? Like this, the game was so clean, and then Ebony Moth throws a wrench and like, oh wait, maybe it's not guaranteed win, right? Like but it's such a good card if you like in a lot of scenarios that it's so good in here, and then you can get Sauron and stuff and fix it. But yeah, definitely getting scared now. But yeah, I mean, Blue Marvel left is what he did, right? So that's fine. He does have priority now. But yeah, now we're kind of going to the 50-50 gods here. I think I go Silk Maximus middle. Is that what I do? I actually don't know. Downside of that is like if he goes like no, I mean, because even if he goes Alioth middle, then okay. So I'm trying to make sure that even if I lose the Alioth, even if I lose the 50-50, I still can contest that lane. That's fair. I'm thinking, yeah. Let's skip ahead. Oh, I go Silk left. Interesting one here. and he goes Legion. So that's interesting because if I filled that middle lane, then it wouldn't have worked there, right? It wouldn't have worked. So he does win that left lane, but I should win the other two. Well, no. It's a 50-50, right? Yeah. Yeah, 50-50. I win it. And sometimes you need to, sometimes you gotta rely on the 50-50. If I went, if I did my original play where I go Silk and then Maximus left. And now I'm wasting time here. Right? That would have been fine. That would have been better. Yeah, this would have been better if I did that play. So I ended up having to rely on the 50-50. Whereas if I did it the other way around, I wouldn't have to. If I put the 7 power on the right lane, I wouldn't have to rely on the 50-50. So that's something I could have avoided for myself if I made a different decision. So sometimes the game bails you out, right? Also, like if I went Maximus left, that would also have been worse. But I wasn't thinking about him going Legion, so that's super fair on his part. Anyways, those are the games. Just I hope that kind of showcases how the deck works. It's kind of it's not the easiest deck to pilot, obviously, but I've been having some success with it in the highest ranks, right? Which always tells me, oh, this is maybe something you could play yourself. So feel free, let me know if you do want to try it out. But yeah, now I'm sad to like have people know what I'm playing now. That's the saddest part, but we do what we can. So take care of yourselves and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Educated calling the snap. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel snap. Your skills will be